If you're listening right now, I might sound a little bit different. And if you're watching, it might look a little bit different. And that's because we're in a temporary location while we have some work done on the podcast studio. So bear with us, and we'll be hopefully in our new home, at least by the first of the year. For the New York State AFL-CIO, I'm Darcy Wells, and this is Union Strong.
I'm proud.
I'm proud.
I am proud.
I'm proud to be Union Strong.
To be Union Strong.
To be Union Strong.
To be Union Strong.
I'm a teacher, and I'm Union Strong.
I wouldn't have it any other way.
There's been a recent surge in union activity all across the country as more workers decide to join a union, and more workers are speaking up for better wages and better working conditions. Also, more workers are making the difficult decision to strike in order to achieve those goals, and workers are winning. Support for unions is the highest it's been in decades, and unionized workers are making huge gains with improved wages and improved conditions at the workplace. On this podcast, we're taking a closer look at union activity in the western region of New York State, where unionization has been on the rise. And it's also the home of the first unionized Starbucks that set into motion a wave of unionization at Starbucks stores across the country. My guest is the president of the Western New York Area Labor Federation, Peter DeJesus. Peter, thank you for joining me on the Union Strong podcast.
Happy to be here with you today, Darcy. Thank you.
So I wanted to start just by asking you a little bit about what region you represent. When we talk about Western New York, what region of the state does that include?
Yeah, so the Western New York Area Labor Federation encompasses 6 counties. Those counties are Erie County, Niagara County, Orleans, Chautauqua, Cattaraugus, and Allegheny. So those counties as a whole, there's about 140 affiliated unions that fall within the purview of those counties, representing about 145,000 union members and retirees.
And then, when we're often talking and explaining to people who we are as a state federation, for those who don't know, we are talking about 2.5 million union members in the public sector, private sector, and building trades, as you know. And we often say, it's all across the state from Brooklyn to Buffalo. So you're on that western very edge. I think sometimes when people talk about or think about Buffalo, they naturally think of your brutal winters, your weather out there. Yeah. Describe for us that region of the state. What is it like as far as the feeling of unions? Just give us kind of the landscape of what Buffalo's like.
Yeah, so it's true. In Buffalo, we do get a little bit of snow. That's just the reality. But Buffalo is a beautiful place. It has this urban-rural contrast. A long-standing progressive history, right? Where we talk about, the Tesla factory, the suffrage movement, Frederick Douglass, the Underground Railroad. We have a long-standing history of traditional industrial unions, right? That are now kind of transitioning to service and new manufacturing. But Buffalo has a very close-knit feeling, and I believe that urban and rural contrast that we have gives us a perspective that sometimes is often overlooked in our line of work. So, it is a city of good neighbors. Again, as you say, we are in the westernmost point. So, I can, look out my backyard and see Canada. So it is beautiful. We celebrate seasons around here. We embrace winter, though it does stay a little too long. We embrace all the seasons around here.
And I mentioned at the beginning of the program that you've seen an uptick in unionization there in your region. What do you attribute that to? What's going on out in the Buffalo region?
Yes, so absolutely. There has absolutely been an uptick here in Western New York. We're one of few locations in the U.S. with a rise in unionization in the service, mainly in the service and healthcare sector. We're approximately about 24% union density compared to 20% in New York State and 11% nationwide. And I think that's attributed to the intentionality to which we've kind of built the relationships here in Western New York and the foundation to which this organization has been created on. Like I said, we have a long history of traditional manufacturing, right? Trade unions. You think of the old Bethlehem Steels of the world, the DuPonts, the General Motors, the Fords, they are all located here. So there is a solid foundation to which, this organizing is happening. And we're seeing, when we talk about, well, who are these workers that are unionizing now, right? We're seeing kind of the fruits of that intentional relationship building across sectors, right? And it's paying dividend. We're seeing, these younger workers that are coming to the non-traditional sectors, such as the coffee, the Starbucks, and see, which is not, it's not a fluke, right? I think we all have to remember that, The premise of the Starbucks organizing was actually a smaller shop called Spot Coffee here locally. That was the test run to which this whole Starbucks campaign has been built on. We take pride here in Western New York and those historic relationships that we have, those historic unions that we have, the traditional blue bloods I call them, that the steel workers, things like that represented the folks at the steel mill. So this is a traditional manufacturer in town with a long history.
And you see a lot of solidarity too when you do have actions, right? Whether it's Starbucks or I know
Yes.
there were healthcare workers not too long ago. Talk to me about that. I mean, you must really pull from the community and obviously other unions.
Yeah. Absolutely, 100%. I think it's something that we actually pride ourselves on here in Western New York. And I think this is all, this activism, this inclusion, the solidarity that we see here is, it's intentional. It's intentional because of the foundational relationships that we have built here in Western New York across sectors, across unions. I think we have a true sense of, this movement as a whole it's not about, me or I, the individual. It is about we, us, the movement. And we take a very intentional approach in rooting all our work in service, serving the communities, both union and non-union, including the children and young people before they enter the workforce, right? So in everything we do, we take into consideration, our community, because we have a full understanding that our members, our union members, our brothers and sisters, our siblings across this region, are part of their community. They're woven. You cannot separate them from their community. So therefore, when we move forward, we have to be intentional in understanding that and making sure that we're addressing that and hearing those issues. So it is something that we have, again, intentionally developed. We don't shy away from conversations, with organizations, community allies, whatever it may be, that don't necessarily agree with what we might be doing or be on the same page. We want to make sure that we continue to have those conversations so that there's a clear understanding of where we're at and where they're at. Because though we might not agree on one singular issue, there's going to be 32 to 40 other issues that come behind it that we could potentially collaborate on, right? So we don't want to close those doors here in Western New York. We try to keep those doors open, and lines of communication to ensure that when there's a need, whether it is from the union side or if it's community side, that we have the ability to communicate effectively and to support each other. Because as this region goes, we're all go.
And how long have you been the president now out there in Western New York?
I've been the president for a little over 2 years now. It feels like an eternity, but
A lot going on.
yeah,
And you're
it has been a lot.
you're a member of, are you 1199 SEIU?
I am a member of 1199 SEIU. I am their political coordinator for the Buffalo region.
So talk to me a little bit about your own personal story. Here you are, a union leader now, but how did you get here, and how did you get to be a union member yourself?
Yeah, so I was lucky that I had family and friends who were actively involved within the union. So, I come from a family of public servants, so I always understood the value of union. It was something for me that was talked about at the dinner table. I remember as a young child going to union meetings. My mother, my grandfather, and all my family always preach about unions. And so as a 19-year-old kid, I was lucky to, become a UAW member at one of the General Motor plants here, to where I, began to slowly get involved in things like their diversity and inclusion that they had going on inside the facility as their United Way campaign chair. I ran for a couple of union positions with the UAW. I was unsuccessful, but still ran nonetheless. And then right around the economic downturn in '09, that was facing the automotive industry, I left the automotive industry and became a United Steelworker at one of their specialty metal plants here in Lockport, New York. So it's with the steelworkers to where I really cut my teeth and learned how to become a union leader, a union activist, doing a number of things with them politically, being part of their political and legislative process, co-chairing their next gen, which is their young worker movement, and really seeing, across this Northeast region that the District 4 of the United Steelworkers here covers, the effect that we can have on workers' lives, not only our members but their families. So, I've been blessed to have a number of opportunities and to have people who have opened doors for me and who have created, spaces for me to learn. And because it hasn't always been a smooth ride, there have been mistakes along the way. But I think that that's part of your development, right? Is that you're going to learn so much more in those lessons than you ever will in your wins per se. So, people don't become leaders by accident. My mentor, the previous president of the Western New York Area Labor Federation, Richard Lipsitz, gave me an opportunity as a young staffer coming out of the factory to work as his field coordinator with the ALF. Through that opportunity, I began to develop, relationships not only with the union leaders and principal officers, but with the rank and file members, with the community members here. That I credit to, me being able to be the president of the federation today. So it's a long journey, with ups and downs. But I wouldn't trade it for anything. I really enjoy and love what I do. I think, it's because of a lot of people that I'm here today, and that's something that I never forget. People place value on other people as they come through their leadership cycles, and I think that's something that we always have to remember.
Well, we're very fortunate to have you out there in Western New York. We appreciate you and all the work that you do. I'd just like to also talk about some activities that are happening out in your region and all across the state. A campaign that we have kicked off, Hot Union Summer. And talk to me a little bit about that if people haven't heard yet, and what you guys are doing right out there in your region.
Yeah, absolutely. So the Hot Union Summer is definitely something that we've been waiting for a long time. I think as we continue to have conversations around how do we engage our members, not just necessarily in a political cycle, but year round, right, to make sure that we're actively, involving them in the day-to-day processes. Hot Union Summer is our opportunity for us to listen to our members, to hear their concerns, their issues, what they're facing. So that we have a better understanding moving forward, right? So that we can actively engage them. This is something, like I stated earlier, that is long overdue. Many times, our relationships with our members tends to be transactional. This is not. This is us just simply knocking on a door and, hey, how are you doing, right? Asking those questions of, what are the issues that you're facing? And this, I think, will only strengthen us, because I believe at our best, when we were at best at this movement, is when we actually took on the issues that our members, were concerned over, that don't necessarily always fall within the confines of a collective bargaining agreement, right? So, we are going door to door here in Western New York, talking to our siblings, talking to their families around their issues of importance, right? And making sure that we understand what it is that they're up against, right? And that they know that, for good and bad, that we're there. We have their back, and we'll continue to have their back. We're rolling out this campaign in a number of ways, traditional ways, right? Knocking on doors, those type of things, making phone calls. But we're also focusing on increasing kind of our digital organizing, right? Getting creative with our methods of outreach. Mm-hmm. Expanding our platforms, making sure that we're reaching our members where they're at. Right, making sure that they know that things are happening, that the information is easily available to them. So it's definitely going to be a Hot Union Summer. We are so looking forward to it. Like I said, this is something that is long overdue. But stay tuned. We'll be on the door near you here in West New York very soon.
Well, enjoy the Hot Union Summer, because, as we mentioned, in Buffalo, it's going to turn all of a sudden, and you're going to be missing this warm weather as you're in your brutal
Don't bring it
winter.
too soon, Darcy. Don't bring it here too soon.
Well, Peter, thank you very much for taking the time. We really appreciate it. Peter DeJesus, the president of the Western New York Area Labor Federation. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Darcy.
Joining me on the podcast is our Communications and Campaigns Coordinator, Liz O'Neill. Hi, Liz.
Hi, Darcy.
And welcome to our temporary home.
Good to be here.
So Peter was talking about Hot Union Summer, and I know you're very directly involved in that. You have been from the beginning, and the planning and the executing. So tell us a little bit more about it, because it's happening all across the state.
Sure thing. So, in the union movement, when we're on the same page and we all are working toward the same goals, we can be more effective. And it's really important that we know what's most important to our members. So we put together this Hot Union Summer survey to find out what the priorities are for our members. And We've got the ALFs and the CLCs all around the state knocking on doors, having conversations with members. We've got the survey up on our website, so if we don't reach you at the doors, you can go ahead and take the survey on our website. It's the top hero image on the site right now, and we'll also put the link in the show notes where you can both take the survey and sign up for walks, so you can talk to union members in your neighborhood also about what's important to them and help us get stronger as a movement.
Okay, great. And then also we've got another event coming up this time with the New York Mets at September 2nd. That's a night game, 7 o'clock on a Saturday night, and people can get tickets.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. There's tickets on our website. It's on our events calendar. They come with a free T-shirt. Members, who their families and friends who get tickets through our link will be able to join us down on the warning track before the game. It's always a good time.
Yes, it is, definitely. All right, well, Liz, thank you very much.
Thanks, Darcy.
This has been a production of the New York State AFL-CIO. Our president is Mario Salento. Our secretary-treasurer is Terry Melvin. We're a federation of 3,000 unions representing 2.5 million union members, retirees, and their families, with one goal: to raise the standard of living and quality of life of all working people. We keep New York State unions strong by fighting for better wages, better benefits, and better working conditions. For more information on the labor movement in New York, visit nysaflcio.org. Until next time, stay union and stay strong.